We have Johnny Miller here, Mayor of City of Fernandina Beach, here in Amelia Island. Johnny, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
You have some history about brain aneurysm in your family, and thank you for joining us to share your story. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so my sister Jane, my mother's husband, his daughter, recently suffered a brain aneurysm about a year ago. She was driving home from work and was involved in a small, low impact accident. When they got her to the emergency room, that she was mentally disabled, they thought it was because of the accident. Fortunately, a specialist came in and recognized that the damage from the car shouldn't result in the situation that she was in. They immediately did some testing, found out that she'd actually suffered a brain injury. It was in her family. Her mother passed away while she was in high school of a brain aneurysm, and then her brother shortly after that passed away as well of an aneurysm. So they knew they had some family history there. Fortunately, the doctor recognized that, and a specialist was flown out to that particular hospital in Atlanta, and she was treated immediately and given the proper surgery. So that's what saved her life. But she's in recovery now. She started from about a 2-year-old, like a toddler. She's learned to talk and write again and speak, and she's just now started posting on Facebook again, and she communicates on the phone. So she's striving and doing very well. Unfortunately, she has other ones that have been diagnosed as well that she needs operations on, but she's not ready. She's not physically able to have those being addressed, but it's an ongoing struggle with her, sure.
Oh my gosh. So this happened just a year ago?
Yeah, about a year ago. And my parents have pretty much moved to Atlanta to be up there with her. She's married and her husband works out of the house. So my mom and Stan, her husband, my stepfather, spend most of their time in Atlanta now caring for her. So it's major life-changing for a lot of people, 2 families, strongly affected.
Wow. Does she have any children?
She does not. No, she does not have children. Big dogs. She has giant dogs. Yeah, but no children. We call her G.I. Jane now. She's fighting. She wears the bandana. It's a constant fight. I mean, just being able to go for a walk, She can't lift anything over about 15 or 20 pounds because it risks throwing another clot. But she's taking it in stride, She's struggling through it every day. She's doing great.
There is a statistic that 2 out of 50 people are walking around with, unruptured brain aneurysm. And per my understanding, someone that in South Florida.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I didn't know him personally. His name was Mayor Flippin, and he was the mayor of Walton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, where I grew up. And I followed his career pretty closely. They have a very progressive commission down there. Their entire elected official, maybe the only one in the country, are all LGBT members of the LGBT community. And he's done some amazing things in Tallahassee. We really expected to see him go much higher than just what he's doing now. And young, his political career looked very inspiring. And on the way to a city commission meeting, he wasn't there. He didn't make it. And during the meeting, they had to stop the meeting because the police officer had to come in, have the vice mayor who was running the meeting, because he wasn't present, took a recess, and they came back. They were all very emotional and had to cancel, and they said they would say why later. He actually passed away of an aneurysm on the way to a city commission meeting. So I went down to his service. It was a very moving service. He was very active in his community, especially with children. He had a program there saying, I took the pledge, and if you met certain criteria, you'd lead the Pledge of Allegiance as a child at the city commission meetings, something that we're trying to do here to kind of live through that. But it was so sudden, and the repeating thing that happened during the ceremony was they didn't have a chance to see, they had no idea, it wasn't diagnosed. It just 1 minute he was here, the next minute he was gone. And I think that's what the shocking thing about this is that the fact that there's no warning. I mean, unless you don't know you're predisposed, anybody could be, some of us in this room could have it right now and not even realize it. So that's why research is so important, to identify these things and address them.
That's why we really need more research. And please know that your sister really is in our thoughts and prayers. We hope that,
so much.
That she get speed recovery. And we're so happy to hear that she's still, here with us and still recovering. And that's what people need to know, that if you know that your family had suffered from it, get checked. I've did some story from a gal from California that her father had died from brain aneurysm, and somebody kept telling her, get checked, and she just kept ignoring it. She's like, I'm not gonna get checked. So one day she said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get checked. Find out she did had a brain aneurysm, and they treated it, and she said, you know what, I'm glad I did.
And treatment's gotten a lot better, right? I mean, just
Treatment,
recently. 'Cause
yes.
I can remember back, I think the first time I was ever exposed to it was, do you remember the TV show, I'm dating myself, Quincy, about the medical examiner? And he diagnosed, I think there was a family history of, it was a TV show, but the football player that they found, and he would have to stop playing football because it could rupture at any minute. That's the first time I've even heard of basically a time bomb that could go off.
It is.
So it's not
time
just
bomb.
changing your lifestyle now and being more careful. There actually is a treatment that you can do.
There is a treatment
fantastic.
now, and that's why it's just you can get an MRI. If you have the worst headache of your life, dial 911. Go see your doctor. Don't try to self-diagnose. So, and that's always a good advice to everyone.
That's great information to have because people don't think about calling 911 for a headache. And that's not something you would normally think about unless somebody's unconscious, or even people that have heart attacks don't want to activate, or they think they can make it through it and it doesn't get diagnosed rapidly.
Exactly.
That's a great message to put out there.
Especially if it runs to your family.
Sure. And they have found it's hereditary. Back when my stepdad's son died, they didn't think that, they thought it was a coincidence, but they're starting to see more and more that there is actually a hereditary connection.
And it's always good to communicate with your doctors, right?
Something as simple as that can show it, huh?
Exactly.
I wonder how many they find they're given an MRI for an injury and they just happen to find an existing condition that didn't even know was there.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But thank you so much
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for everything you guys
being
are
here, to sharing your family story. And again, your sister is in our thoughts and prayers. And if there's anything we can do to help, and please know that our foundation is here to help. And everybody really needs to be more aware of how important it is, because again, 2 out of 50 people are walking around with unruptured brain aneurysm not knowing about it. So, but go to trinityhelplet.org for more information.
Great.
So,
well, thank you for everything you're doing as well. I look forward to working with you.
And thank you for sharing
My
your story.
pleasure.